Awesome. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got Bitlord here on Crypto Grownups. Thank you for taking the time, my brother.
Glad to be here, mate.
So today I want to dive into WhaleWarz. It looks fucking awesome. I want to talk about Ripple and XRP because that's actually why we even set this up in the first place. And then get some of your ideas, some of your tips about Oktoberfest for altcoins.
All right. Yes. Where do you want to start, mate? Do you want to start on XRP or WhaleWarz, or what's
Let's start with WhaleWarz, and let's
how do you want to do it? So,
let's keep everybody hungry for the altcoin tips towards the end.
All right. Well, the thing is, mate, WhaleWarz, it's just what we've done. We've built a platform, a trading platform on top of the major exchanges. So we've built like a pretty sweet system where you plug your read-write API key in, and you can battle other traders for top prize pools. So everybody's ranked on a leaderboard, profit and loss, live. We do a whole bunch of different comps and tournaments. We do these free-for-alls where we fund everybody's account to be able to trade. Everybody's using high leverage on BitMEX, getting in, running amok, and whoever comes out the highest profit wins the prize pool. So we've actually done it so we're funding their accounts to trade and then paying them the prize pool. So there's a lot of guys that are like, yeah, this is too good to be true.
Wait,
and then it's like, all right.
Wait. So I sign up to this. I don't put any money.
Yeah. No. You sign up to BitMEX. So you sign up to BitMEX with an email and your name, whatever. And then, it takes like a minute to sign up on BitMEX. And then you connect your read-only API key to WhaleWarz, which then has your account stats on WhaleWarz against everybody else. And yeah, we fund your BitMEX account, through the API, we fund the accounts, and then you trade. If you win, like a top ranking, then we'll pay you out in BTC. And we've been doing this for about a year now. So it's a long-standing thing that's been going on. We've got a lot of cool stuff happening. Guys, they absolutely have a blast. I mean, we had one of the top traders in this one tournament. Absolutely. This guy was insane. He was absolutely crazy. He made over 10,000% returns in 2 days. That's a free-for-all duration, 2 days. He turned 50 cents into $50. And everyone was just like, whoa, how the fuck did you do that? What he was doing, the story behind it, he was shorting Bitcoin on the way down. But what he would do, he would cash out like on a short and then wait for a bounce and then compound short again. Cash out, hit it again on a bounce. He did that all the way down for 2 days to make that 10,000%. Absolute legendary. Never seen nothing like it. So
right, and
that's the sort
Bitcoin too. What are the chances that he did it off of Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, it was insane, man. It was like the craziest thing ever. We kept having to audit the account because we're like, no way this guy has done this. No way. No one could believe it. But yeah, it was legit. I mean, we have the trade data and history to show that he did it. So that was like the craziest thing we've ever seen in a free for all. But you get guys getting wrecks quite a lot as well. But it doesn't. That's the thing. Like we're trying to encourage good trading and things like that because otherwise people would be sort of hesitant to get into margin trading. So it's good to be able to get the feel for it without having to risk any money and get wrecked. Because a lot of people get wrecked. I mean, you can scroll through now and you go to the bottom and you see like all the people wrecked like all through the thing. But everyone sort of learns from there. It's a good experience.
You also win if you get wrecked. Like if you're the most wrecked, right?
Yeah, we've just introduced this game that's called RektCity. So we found out a lot of people were getting wrecked. We're like, okay, how do we include these guys in a game? Like, how can we make it fun for them as well? Because obviously, if you're getting wrecked every week, it's like, oh, okay, what's going wrong? Like, obviously, they're analyzing the trades, but some of the free-for-alls, the guys are in it to win it. You've got to use big leverage. So some guys are like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to have a punt, and if I lose, I lose, and if I win, good on me. But now we've made it a game because so many people are getting wrecked. The game is the first person to get wrecked takes a whole prize pool. So now everybody's on the opposite, trying to get on the opposite side of a trade. And it's going to be funny because some people are going to be trying to get wrecked and then they're going to end up like, plus 200%. And it's going to be hilarious. Like, so that's That's what we've done. And so
it's true, dude. You gotta go all in if you're gonna make money. Like you can't win this game if you're playing it safe, right? You gotta go the wall.
You have to go. You have to be on like 100 times leverage. That's the thing. Everybody else is doing 100x. You're not going to be able to compete with it. There's so many different people that are doing it. The chances of you winning on 5, 10, 15%, it's not going to happen. But the guys that are playing smart and doing 5 or 10, 15%, every week or something like that, they are actually going to be the most valuable traders, because we're introducing a copy trade feature. So with those account stats, you'll be able to copy consistent traders on BitMEX through the API. And if somebody's doing something consistently with minimal drawdown and risk to an account, that's an extreme. I would prefer that over somebody that's taking high risk, getting 200% one week, wreck the next week. So these people that have been doing it consistently, now their accounts are worth a lot, because we've literally got a database of thousands of people that are going to want to copy that, and they'll pay $10 or $20 to do so. So it's a pretty big thing now.
Now, does this work as a customer acquisition vehicle for BitMEX? Is that like how the business runs?
So we sort of don't discuss what's going on with BitMEX there. We've done a lot of things on our own behalf. So we're self-funded. We don't. There's been no ICO, no private round, no bullshit, nothing. It's just we've come in. We've had this idea very early, quite some time ago, and we thought, you know what, let's build it. So we started building it. We built it on top of BitMEX. Now we can plug into any exchange. We can plug into any one of these new derivatives exchanges. We can plug into Binance, Poloniex, Bittrex, Gemini, Coinbase, anything. Our APIs are completely fluid. It can plug in anywhere. So we now get a lot of exchanges or people that want to work with us, because we have such a large user base now. But it just comes down to we chose BitMEX for a reason. They are the longest and most trusted. I've traded on there for years. They are scaling now, so they have some performance upgrades coming. And I just thought, you know what? If I'm going to recommend somewhere, I like that long outstanding history of clean security. I like the way it's done, so we'll stick on that for now.
Yeah, props, dude. I mean, you should recommend things that you believe in, that you use as well. You've recently had a bit of hate towards Bybit. What's up with that? What's like you mentioned something? Is it because I'm sorry? You have the context better than I do.
Yeah, well, when Bybit first came out, there was a lot of shady things that we saw that they were doing on their books. And as traders, it felt like something was being pushed and marketed, and it wasn't exactly what it was. So, there was all sorts of strange things going on the books there. There was some very interesting things going down. I know a few guys had documented these sort of things, and I had a good look at it. I was like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to trade there just because of that. Now, recently I heard some stuff that some people had their accounts just randomly liquidated and then closed with no explanation. Now, the only reason I could see that happening is if they're trading from a jurisdiction they're not supposed to be. But then again, you're still supposed to go ahead and follow it up, and you can't just liquidate somebody's position because they could be hedging something, or it's a fucking trade. You can't do that. So I just took the opportunity just to go ahead and say, yeah, no, I wouldn't trade here. I'd trade on BitMEX. Just because
your conviction, man. You gotta stick to what you've got a reputation. You've built up an audience. So anything you mention has a lot of weight. The moment you choose to use BitMEX, that has a lot of weight. It speaks to your reputation. The moment you speak against Bybit, that also has a lot of weight. So, if you've done the research, you've got people showing you that information. It's good to share that.
Yeah, the thing is as well with Bybit, I've seen a lot of guys that don't actually trade or don't actually or complete noobs shilling Bybit. So I look at the crowd that are shilling Bybit as one, the sort of people that have been associating with Bybit versus the likes of BitMEX or Bitfinex, for example. So for me, it's like if somebody doesn't trade and they're not trading as a full-time profession, but they're just going to go ahead and shill something, it's like, well, hold on, how the fuck would you know to trade on that? How can Yeah.
Right.
How can you say that's the best exchange? Yeah, you've never been on an exchange before. So to me, it's like, Bybit is like the influencers and the noobs exchange. That's what it is. No fucking serious trader has cribbed up on Bybit. No way. I don't know any serious trader. The only reason anybody shields it is because they had a good affiliate system. So for me, it's like, okay, well, yeah, nah.
Well, look, we're going to give Bybit an opportunity to speak up. If you guys have anything, it'd be great to get you on the show. We'll even have you speak directly to Bitlord. I think that would be amazing. That'd be amazing TV.
Sure.
Yeah,
just give me like a day or two. I'll actually get some of the old documentation where we found inconsistencies with the exchange and order book, and then sure, I'll be all ears.
I love that, and that's how it should be, right? Like
Oh yeah.
This helps the entire ecosystem. It helps everyone. It even helps Bybit. Okay, so the reason we're doing this, you were talking about forking XRP. What's your history there? Why are you mad? Why you want to fork it? How are we going to do it?
Okay, my history of XRP. Okay, you got to understand, I've been in XRP for a very long time now, a very long time, since it was under a cent, so 0.7%. So the XRP army, they are my children. They're my fucking children, and a lot of them, they come to me and say, "Oh, who are you?" I'm like, "Yo, my fucking children, all right, relax." So XRP, and look, nowadays there's a lot of guys that do a lot of research. They put a lot of time in. They're like pretty much full-time XRP lovers, which is cool. But you get to a stage where you're so influenced by your investments and your bags that you stop reasoning and you start to go completely blind to what else is going on. All it comes down to is that we started seeing things like XRP going ahead, obviously selling the token, going in and spending on a fucking dumb shit like Bill Clinton at doing speeches at the Cybos and things like that. And that guy charges like, $200K, $500K, stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, okay, we basically funded that. They're allowed to hold this token. And the way you look at it, I mean, how the fuck is it not a security? Sell it, say that they don't have any responsibility to the performance of XRP, and then buy real world assets like MoneyGram, like whatever, like fucking helicopters and Lambos. Right. And that's off the back of people like you and me. But then they say that they don't have any responsibility towards the performance of XRP. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You have direct responsibility for the performance of XRP. And then in the same week, they've said that they don't have any responsibility to the performance of XRP, but then they've gone ahead and said that they're the biggest party concerned with obviously price appreciation because they're the biggest holders. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. So in one sense, they want nothing to do with the token, but in the same sense, they'll sell it, to speculators, and then they have no legal obligations to a holder. I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. You can't have the best of every.
They're obviously not telling the truth because it's starting to unravel, right? I mean, the motivations and the decentralized nature that they always were saying that XRP is. It's starting to unravel.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there was a value proposition that Ripple, that XRP had, that made you an investor.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of it was what they're able to do with money, what they're able to do with liquidity. I mean, it's amazing. It's about to like bring it all together and make it work seamlessly. It's amazing. So a lot of the stuff in the early days about Ripple, I mean, I had an idea. I didn't need to fully understand everything. I just needed to go, well, this is a game changer. This is worth putting some money aside. Had a lot of hate from Bitcoin and pretty much the entire crypto scene back then. But it's like, well, if everybody loves it, if everybody's like, saying it's a good thing, then, the crowd's always wrong. So for me, it was a very easy decision to be involved with XRP. And I never care about, what anybody says. I always do what the fuck I want. Turned out it was a great thing. and it was a fantastic thing. I mean, XRP's been brilliant, but now it's come to the stage where I'm seeing a bit of, what is the word for it? I mean, these guys are getting a bit fucking smug. They're getting a bit cheeky. The way that they're starting to, they're pretty much taking the piss, and I don't appreciate that. I really don't appreciate that.
Where on one side you're saying, hey, we don't really care about the price, but then obviously you should care about the price, and then you're dumping, you're not preserving the price, you're not respecting the investors that brought you here.
Exactly. So, you know, it's like they have built the Ripple ecosystem off the back of speculators.
Yeah, there's no one in crypto talks about any other army than the XRP army.
Yeah. Exactly. Their XRP army is their media machine. It's their decentralized media machine where they have no obligation because they're not saying it. They're not doing it. It's a media machine producing its own content, drawing its own conclusions. So when you see something like Ripple is going to replace the Federal Reserve and this and that, well, I just want to say, I was actually one of the first people to write an article on that back in like 2014. And structured it really well. I think the blog that I've written on is taken down now, but I'll definitely be able to pull out that article if I spend some time on it. Yeah, and now it's fucking everywhere. And then it's like, well, you know, guys, we're talking about this shit like years ago. Now it's like this. It's like it's in everybody's brain. But Ripple never address any of these rumors. They never address any of these news. They never do anything. So all of this stuff is going out there to new people coming into the space that could very well not be true. None of it could be true. It could all be bullshit. But it's very convincing. It feels so amazing that it feels like, wow, this is a really good investment. I need to put my money into this. And in a way, to me, it feels like a lot of that is taking advantage of the new money coming into the space, taking advantage of people. They're not addressing it. They're not doing anything. But at the same time, they're just having a laugh and taking the piss. It's not cool. So I really hope that we get some clear guidelines. Actually, not guidelines. I hope we get a clear ruling from the Securities and Exchange Commission, because when you look at this, to me, it's undoubtedly a security. Undoubtedly, a company that holds something, the way that they're fostering the network, the way they're doing this sort of stuff, it's a security.
So you've gone past expecting them to do right. You've now skipped to, look, the SEC has to step in and classify this as security.
Oh yeah, 100%. Now the problem is though, is they've got so much money. They've got enough money now where they can take the SEC on with a legal battle. They can draw it out as long as they like. They can do all these injunctions, all this crazy stuff, because they've got the money. They've got the experience now. They've gone in and poached talent off every fucking major organization in America. From the SEC. From the Federal Reserve, from fucking everywhere. So they've done a very smart thing. They've got the money, they've got the talent. Now, it's almost getting to a stage where they're above and beyond the law because of the connections and the money that they have. They can draw this out for long. So you could look at XRP and say it's a security, but can the SEC prosecute and go ahead and rule it as so? It's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard now. So they're pretty much like.
That's where your plan, the fork, really comes into the focus, right? Where we're not playing in traditional corporate land, where as an investor you're screwed because they can just do whatever they want. This is going to be one of those first scenarios that we get to see where people get to really control what they support. So I want to focus more on the fork idea. I mean, do you really think that this has legs?
Oh yeah. You got to understand, Ripple is massive. Ripple is massive. It's a huge media machine. So if Ripple is going to be forked by a community, it's going to be huge. Everybody's going to know about it. Everybody from Bitcoin, crypto, every single fucking community out there is going to know about it. It's going to have huge attention. So it doesn't matter if people like it. It's going to have the numbers behind it regardless. But the problem is, it's not about having the numbers behind it. That's a given. I know that's a fact. The fucking people are there. The problem is creating an ecosystem, creating something that has ongoing utility, something that can be a sustainable business, something that can be ongoing, that has longevity. It's very easy for me to come along now with a bunch of developers, not fork, clone, the repository, go ahead and release something, but cool. Yeah, here you go. Have some fucking tokens, everybody. Now what? We want a future. We want a clear direction. We want to know that there's going to be some more substance. I've seen, I've pretty much got 8 years of crypto data now. I know what works and what doesn't. So for me, it's very, very important what direction we take, because the last thing I'd want to do is end up like another one of these shit coins to go ahead and create something and it just continues fading off into oblivion because there's no actual real substance there. I have seen like literally thousands of these things now. And to me, I'd rather not fork it than create something like that that could potentially harm people. So it takes a lot of thought, a lot of clear planning to go ahead and release something that I would be comfortable to back, if I saw somebody else doing it. It takes a lot.
And it sounds like, so your first hope is that the SEC intervenes. And then the last resort, if you will, is cloning, forking XRP.
No, I just feel now that, look, they do need to come in and give some clear ruling. Right now, it's literally the Wild West. It is the Wild West. To sell something and say we're not responsible for it, and at any point they could just completely drop everything, run away with the money. They can actually do that legally, right. And we would have nothing to come back on at this stage. That can happen. I don't like being vulnerable like that. Nobody should like being vulnerable like that. And the fact is, most of these companies, these organizations, they're not using XRP and they don't need to. So you need to be very, very cautious with that. My goal is not to, wait for them to do something or whatever. Look, when it comes to the XRP fork, it's like, look, we don't give a fuck what Ripple do from here on, because it's about what we're going to do. So the purpose of this is to give, to give a community the opportunity to be involved in something that's not going to have that, the Ripple founders oversight, where you're pretty much forced looking at a couple hundred.
You want to get rid of that vulnerability. You guys want to take back control, and I applaud that. I think I have two basic questions that follow up on this. One, what needs to happen to start cementing that? Is it that you need a development team? Is it that you need to have a biz dev team? What has to happen to bring confidence, that confidence of utility to the fork? Okay, so developers, they don't matter. They're like the last thing. They're absolutely the last thing ever, because they have a job. This is a job. Do that. I mean, literally, fucking anybody can do that. You know what I mean? Obviously, developers are very good at what they do, but without having that framework and that path, there's no point stressing about them. The first thing that needs to be in place is a very clear path, a very clear direction that has it's pretty much a business plan, a very intricate business plan for whatever it's being. And people can say, a blockchain is supposed to be decentralized and this and that. And I'm going to say, look, we already have decentralized blockchains. We already have all of these things out there. And let me tell you now, it is largely a saturated field. If there's going to be something done with Ripple One or the Ripple fork, whatever you want to call it at this stage, it needs to have a new direction. It needs to have something else where pretty much the community are leading it in a way. But I'm gonna say straight from the get-go, mate, like decentralization, when you want to get stuff done, it's a fucking joke. You can't get anything done. You give everybody an opinion, you'll get nowhere. Yeah. So
The first thing is I just need a bit more time to sit down and structure this. As I said, I've got like 8 years of what does and what doesn't work. I've got a very good picture of like how to take this from here, but time is killing me right now. I need to be making more time, for this to be able to get it going.
I've got some more help from the army. I mean, you shouldn't be a one-man, army on this. You have a whole army to lean on.
True.
So I think it's important that people watching, all of your audience, they start contributing these ideas, because that's really how you accelerate these things. The follow-up question I have is, I always believe in reconciliation, that there's not, that things haven't crossed the Rubicon. What can Ripple do that will patch this up? I mean, what would, so tomorrow Brad comes on TV and he says, bam, 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 and you're like, you know what? Everything's good. I feel confident again. What do you need to see them say? What do you need to see them do?
I think one of the first things would to see them open up their expenditure. Show us. So when you're going ahead and you're selling $400 million of XRP in a quarter, show us what the fuck you've spent that on. How much are you paying each other? How much are you paying this person? How much are you paying that person? How much did you pay Bill Clinton? How much the Lambo cost? How much for the fucking helicopter? All that sort of stuff. We want to know, okay, where's it all going? Because it's just, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. And it's very interesting.
Opening up the kimono gives a lot of faith, right? It at least shows you, it starts that rebuilding of trust.
Yeah, and then we can see what's going on now, because at this stage, it's all closed off to us. We can't see a hell of a lot of what's actually happening here. So that's not the way, in a way, Ripple should be a public company. We should be able to see all these reports and expenditures and all that sort of, we need to be able to see everything. At this stage, it's all private, and it gives no trust to know what's going on. The whole point of a blockchain being open and transparent is we can see what's going on here. That would be a start to give us some confidence. The next thing would be taking some responsibility for the price of XRP, not trying to distance them. They've been trying very hard for a very long period of time now to distance themselves from XRP, the token. They've, first they started with, changing the logo, saying, "Oh, we'll leave it up to the community this." It's like, when they did that, I was like, the fuck? This is a bit weird, don't you think? It's a bit weird. The next step, then they decided to start coming and say they're not responsible for the price. People will speculate. I'm sorry, if you're going to be holding 60 billion fucking tokens and dumping a couple 100 million every quarter, I'm pretty sure I want to see you have some responsibility for the fucking price. So I'd like to see them take on that responsibility and be like, yeah, we want to increase the price. We want to give that. But they're always giving mixed messages. So it's very confusing. It's very confusing to an investor or a speculator. We just need some very clear direction. Possibly a lot of that is from, this ongoing litigation with the SEC. Who knows? But we just need some direction.
Yeah, and what you're asking for is very fair. You're asking for transparency, and you're asking for communication. You haven't asked for anything ridiculous at all. So I think it's very fair. I think it's very possible. Hopefully, somebody at Ripple gets to see this and reacts. That, for me, always reconciliation is the best path forward. Because there's obviously good elements there. There are people on that team that you do like. You definitely don't want to have to rebuild from the beginning. So before, I let you go, and dude, this has been amazing. I mean, I feel like I could talk to you for hours, and I think you've done really well by the XRP Ripple community. Oktoberfest for altcoins. Is this your tag? Did you start this?
Oh yeah, that's it, mate. I mean, we've got Oktoberfest coming up. I'm looking at the monthly candles on a lot of these alts, and I'm seeing, look, if they manage to close green above this zone, it's going to rally all through October. And I was just like scrolling. I seen like something that reminded me of Oktoberfest, and I'm like, a fucking Oktoberfest for alts, legit. Like, let's do it. Let's do it. So it all comes down to where this monthly closes though. It needs to close green and strong on a lot of these long-standing alts, things that have been around for years. I'm not too concerned about these newer, shittier things that sort of pop up. They'll also benefit, but it's like things like XRP, ADA, Ethereum. We need to see them close green and strong on this month. If they do so, it is highly likely that they will then rally through October. So it's all coming down to the monthly close. The way that I'm managing things now is I'm looking for a strong entry on this month to set up, put a stop loss with enough sort of a barrier. As long as it's far close enough to the end of the close, I can be a little more confident that stop won't trigger, and then hopefully we rally up and push through. But on the other end of this alt season, this Oktoberfest, you need to understand, if we close red, if we close like deep red on this month, mate, next month is an absolute fucking disaster. And there's not going to be any celebrations.
And
so
what's unique about next month that it becomes such like this closing of September? Why is October such a pivotal month?
Okay, so when you start looking at the weekly and the monthly charts, you can see like we're at a very clear, very well-defined level of support here. Now, this level of support needs to open. A lot of the older established coins, the Bollinger Band has opened up. It's one of the indicators I like to use. Now, what can happen here when after it opens up, it's tagged the lower end. When it always touches, the lower end, when it's exposed like that, it's often a good buy. So it's rallied off that bottom patch. If it closes green, a very good chance it's going to rally, towards the middle section of it. It's highly likely. So that's what I'm saying, mate. It's some 70% gains on the board.
So because we've been breaks down for so long, it's all reaching a point of tension where October is going to go either big up or big down, something.
Yeah, it's very unlikely that we're just going to push like that in October. It's going to go bam, or it's going to go like that. So the problem is if we close red, it's going to look very, very sore on the eye to see that red candle, because breaking under this level of support, it's so critical. It's like it's so important. But the thing is, after such a sell-off, like after a lot of these alts have sold off like 70, 80, 90%, it doesn't come straight down into the such well-defined support and then break through. You're always going to see a bounce. Right. I'd like to say 80% of times you're going to see a bounce. So that's why I'm saying, the odds are in an alt season through October. It just comes down to simple maths, and that's where the odds are. So if I had to place a bet, I would place a bet on being an alt season in October.
You heard it from the man himself. You got to look at ADA, you got to look at ETH, you got to look at XRP as the indicators of a good October for Oktoberfest. Before I let you go, is there a sleeper hit you're looking at? Is there a coin outside of those, top 20?
Yeah, look, there's a couple, but I can't really discuss these things. I mean, I can mention the bigger caps, not a problem. But if I'm mentioning something like under 50 mil, under 30,
yeah, that's risky.
10, yeah, we're just mentioning it. I guarantee you, I'll shoot at 20, 30%, sometimes more. But, there's plenty of these things out there. You don't need to be an expert or a genius. What it comes down to is looking for something that you feel has potential, something that stands out, something that's different. Have a good look at the team, all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, does it sound good? Does it look good? Does it have a good idea? Is it on trend? Does this feel like it could be something big? Don't look for shit that's done. Yeah, look for stuff that's fresh and new, and then, take the risk. You know what? This is fucking altcoins. This is crypto. Back your money up in that motherfucker. Leave it. You don't always need to do a stop. 10% of your capital, throw it in there. Bam, let it go. Worst case scenario goes
from the Lord. Wise words from the Bitlord. I love it, bro. This has been awesome. I feel like anybody that watched this has learned so much. They owe you a lot. I owe you a lot. And I hope we can do it again soon, dude.
Me too, mate. I enjoyed it. I had some fun.
Right on, brother. I appreciate that. Yeah, and it's a wrap.